Have you ever wondered what's happening out here in nature or why plants and animals do the things they do?
If so, then join us on an adventure as we explore nature right here in our own backyards.
Hi, I'm Erin Roykamp and this is my friend Joshua York. We're both naturalists from Five Rivers Metroparks in Dayton. And welcome to Wild for Ohio, where we are going to learn all about our environment and ecosystems. And today we are going to check out insects and pollinators.
There are all kinds of small creatures flying around. Insects play a critical role in ecosystems throughout the planet. They help maintain soils, pollinate flowers, break down nutrients through helping to recycle dead animals. They control pests, and many of them get eaten by all kinds of other animals and even plants. We have grasshoppers, dragonflies, praying mantises, butterflies and moths, mosquitoes, roaches, beetles, bees, wasps, and so many more creatures that keep this ecosystem alive.
We're out here on the trails at Germantown Metropark, where you can find amazing wildflowers, especially the white trillium surrounding us. Did you know that each state has a state wildflower? And Ohio's is the white trillium. All this amazing beauty and color wouldn't be possible, though, without our pollinators. In fact, the bright colors, even white, serve as a big neon sign, drawing the pollinators in and directing them to the sweet nectar found inside the flower, where they will also unknowingly pick up some pollen grains.
When we think of pollinators, one of the first insects we might think of is honeybees. These creatures are not native to Ohio, but were brought over during colonization and have integrated themselves into our ecosystem. They work together as a team of sisters, using the hive as headquarters for storing food and building a larger team. Their goal is survival, and they do this by scouring the landscape in search of good nectar sources. And with just a few maneuvers at the hive, they can tell their sisters exactly where flowers are so that they can work together as a team to harvest the nectar to make the honey for their young to eat right back at the hive. Honeybees can defend themselves with a modified ovipositor, their stinger, and they can use pheromones to help communicate danger with their sisters. However, they are quite docile creatures and don't mind being watched while they work. Just don't swat or try to hurt them, and don't venture near their hive without the proper safety equipment.
When you are out exploring, you might find some bees that are larger in size, like carpenter bees and bumblebees. Carpenter bees get their name because they drill or burrow into wood. They aren't eating the wood when they are doing this, but instead the female is using the cavity that is created as a nest. By using pollen plugs, she creates separate chambers to deposit her eggs in. Male carpenter bees are very territorial of these nests and may even appear aggressive by flying towards you if you get too close. However, they aren't as threatening as you might think, as the male carpenter bee doesn't have a stinger. You can tell the males apart from the female carpenter bees by taking a closer look at their face. If they have a white square on their face, they are a male. Our bees are used to different plants or parts of the flower, touching them on their back while they are gathering nectar. As a result, if you have clearly identified that a carpenter bee is a male and have your guardian's permission, you can safely touch its back with a very gentle touch.
Not all pollinators are attracted to nectar. There are quite a few insects out here that specialize in eating dead animals, called carrion. Can you imagine what carrion smells like? Well, to these flies, beetles, and other insects, this smell means dinner time. Some flowers look and smell like carrion to trick these insects into pollinating them, like this wild ginger. Notice the color of the flower and the red lines directing the insect inside? Even the flower smells like carrion. The insects are tricked, but this flower is now pollinated if this insect visited another flower previously. Nature is full of tricks and surprises.
Ants are not the best pollinators. In fact, some flowers try to protect their nectar against them. But ants do a very important job for many of our wildflowers. Every seed has to get around. Dandelion seeds float through the air, maple seeds helicopter away as they fall, sycamore seeds float down a stream, and flowers like wild ginger get moved around by ants. These plants cover their seeds with a nutrient that ants love. When ants find the seeds, they will take it back to their colony so their sisters can eat it. When finished, they toss it in a trash chamber underground, which has all kinds of nutrients that plants like. Once it warms up and gets moist, the new plant starts to grow.
You know, there are many other insects flying around here that are not pollinators. Mosquitoes are flying around, with most of them drinking plant sap. Dragonflies are cruising up and down this river, eating mosquitoes and many other flying insects. Carpenter ants are devouring the inside of this dead tree. And then large pileated woodpeckers come and getting into the wood and gobbling them up. Insects are fully integrated into our ecosystem. Imagine a world without insects. What would happen to the animals that depend on them for food? What would happen to the flowers that depend on them as pollinators? What would the forest smell like if it wasn't for insects helping to recycle dead animals back into soil? And think about us. About 1/3 of our food, many of our fruits and vegetables, were possible because of pollinators. So how would we survive? Complex life wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for these small creatures, even ants.
Although small, ants are amazing creatures. They are able to communicate with one another using odors known as pheromones. This is especially important when it comes to finding food. A scout ant will leave the nest in search of food, and upon finding food, will eat some and then head back to the nest. While heading back to the nest, the ant will lay down an invisible odor trail that the other ants in the colony can follow to get back to the food source without meandering. Every time another ant uses that path, they are reinforcing that pheromone trail. You can see this behavior in action in your own backyard, schoolyard, or park with permission from an adult. Find an area where you see ants or evidence of ants, such as an anthill. Place some cracker crumbs nearby on the ground and check the location periodically for ants. At first, there might just be a few, but after a time, you should see a trail of ants coming to the food. You can manipulate the pheromone trail that they are following by taking your finger and making a zigzag line through it. This will cause the pheromone trail to then follow the path that your finger made, and you can watch the ants now follow that new trail.
Insects are everywhere, and they are so much fun to explore, and they literally make it possible for us to live on Earth. For more information, check out the resources below on PBS Learning Media. These are fun activities for the whole family to enjoy.
Thanks for joining us today. As you can see, insects and pollinators are hard at work fulfilling their role in Ohio's ecosystems. And you can see it happening right in your own backyard. So get outside and explore. See you next time.